Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dice Dojo Gaming and Painting Studio. Today we're going to do our first review of one of the model releases for Marvel Crisis Protocol featuring Scarlet Witch and her brother Quicksilver. So let's get to it. Okay, let's start with the models. First up, you can see right here, Scarlet Witch's assembly looks fairly easy. It's only 5 steps. You got a front torso, back of her head to her front of her head, and then her limbs attach, and then all of her swirl and magic bits here. One thing I would note for people is definitely suggest painting this sub-assembly. So get the magical effects painted or whatever colors and things that you want with those, and then go ahead and add your model. If you're going to do like an OSL effect or something, then you could go in and do that once the model's in place, but I would definitely make it a lot easier. Get her added in after you've got your base coats and things down for her. Okay, that model, when we take a look at it, you'll see pretty standard, no kind of clear plastics or anything like people had maybe thought there was going to be. I don't see any repeats for parts, and it does have like the little swirl effects for her hands, which aren't actually attached to her hands that kind of go around her. So just be aware of that. No tiny parts, so hopefully you shouldn't have anything missing, but if you do have anything go missing, there are no spares on that sprue. Sometimes they choose to include those. Quicksilver's looks a little larger, but it's just taking up more space. But you got your back torso, front torso. The only part that's kind of complicated is a couple pieces to this little explosion effect, and then all of his limbs, go in and mounted, and he's springing forward on there. Nothing too complicated. The sprue itself is a very small sprue, as you can see here. All the pieces indicated, just the parts of the explosions, torso. Everything's pretty simple. Looks like a straightforward model to build there in regards to that. So the models look great. The sculpts look good. The magical effects that they have are great. They are kind of pushing the envelope with these like up floating on branches, whether it was Storm, Daredevil, all these spindly little bits. As you start to get more and more models and trying to transport those together without breaking parts, it's becoming a little more concerning. So I hope they dial that back just a notch, or they do a little better job of building in supports for them, because I know like my Storm kind of wobbles anytime I move the model. It always makes me a little nervous. Okay, next up, let's talk about their rules. For Quicksilver, we're looking at as everybody expected, high-speed, threat, moderate, objective-grabbing, objective-interacting character with some decent defense abilities and a surprising ability to just totally explode offensively. Though rare, it'll be a game-changer when it goes off for you. So as you can see, we've got 5 health, long movement, size 2, 3 cost, 3 defenses across the board. His physical builder is physical attack, 4 dice, nothing outstanding there. What really makes it kind of pop forward a little bit, though, is it does have a 3 range, and then you gain power equal to the damage dealt. On a critical and a block, after this attack is resolved, this character may advance short. It's kind of nice. Where it really gets interesting, though, is on a wild and a hit, you get velocity. After this attack is resolved, this character may make a supersonic strike attack. This attack may not target the original target character, which is another of his builder attacks. Notice there's no limit to once per round there, so potentially this could just explode and he could just dance across the board and kind of clobber everybody. On 4 dice, without some buffs in place, it's not likely, but it is possible to keep going off. If you get some bonus dice in there or some rerolls, you could really fish for it. He's got a Cyclonic Vortex, which is a range 3, 6 dice, physical attack, costing 2 power. After this attack is resolved, this character may advance medium. So, again, additional movement there. Now let's talk superpowers. His first power is an active power, costs 2, Speedster. If this character is not holding an objective token, it advances long. So put him in an Avengers team, you're looking at 1 power to move along. His next power is Can't Catch Me. It costs 3. If you're familiar with Loki, it's his ability, once he's targeted, he gets to advance short. If he's outside your range or line of sight at that point, then it ends the attack. If the attacker is doing a single targeted attack, then they can select a new target. If it's a beam or something, it just continues and he's now no longer targeted. He's outside that. It can only be used once per turn. Similar to Loki's ability. His last power is a passive power. When this character is defending against a physical or energy attack or making a dodge roll, it can reroll up to 2 of its defense or dodge dice. He also has Wall Crawler all the time. So as you can see, the speed mixed with the maneuverability options, he's going to be all over the table bouncing around and just kind of doing his thing into that regard. As far as for the back profile and his attack, everything looks identical. There's no significant changes in regards to that. So nothing big there. He still maintains the 5 health. Now let's talk about Scarlet Witch, because you are going to be seeing her on the table. She is a blaster character for sure. I would say she's kind of the good guy's equivalent of MODOK, so expect to see her all over the place. We're looking at 6 health, a medium movement, size 2. She does cost 5, so there is some cost to an army for bringing her on board. 3 physical defense, 4 energy defense, and 4 mystic defense. So pretty decent defenses, but it costs 5. You'd expect that. Where she gets really interesting is her builder attack is a range 4, 6 dice mystic attack. Pretty impressive. Gains power equal to the damage dealt. If she rolls a failure or a skull on the die, her chaos magic ability kicks in. After this attack is resolved, for each failure on the attack roll, the target character gains one of the following special conditions: bleed, hex, incinerate, or poison. And where that's a really big deal, later we're going to see in her superpowers, but spoiler alert, she gets to count her failures or the skulls on dice as successes. So not only are they successes, but she's putting conditions on you. For a builder attack, that's just really impressive. Her next ability, Cruel Twist, another mystic attack, bigger attack this time. Only range 3, but 8 dice, but it does cost a whopping 6 power. The defending character does not add critical results to its defense roll or to its total successes, and cannot add additional dice to its defense roll based on critical results. So your crits don't count and they don't explode. That's pretty devastating. It also has reality contortion. Change one of the defending character's basically successes, a crit, a wild, or a block, to a blank. So it's kind of like a Pierce effect, similar. So pretty devastating hit. It's going to give her a use to drop all that power. But where she's going to get really interesting is her superpowers. Let's take a look at those. For her superpowers, she's got telekinesis, choose an interactive terrain feature, size 4 or less, and throw it within 3 and throw it medium. So it's a pretty good throw, costs 3 power, but it is only terrain, so make sure you make note of that. Next ability is Curse. When this character is damaged by an enemy effect, after the effect is resolved, you may use a superpower. Attacking character gains a Judgment special condition. So we're going to see Judgment. We haven't really seen a lot of that. Ronan was throwing some around, but otherwise you don't see a lot on the table. It is a powerful condition, so be aware of what it does. The next thing that you're going to have is Chosen of Chthon. When attacking, defending, or dodging, this character adds failures, which is the skull results, to its total successes. So that's going to matter on both of those attacks like we talked about. Getting Chaos Magic on her builder attack and getting Reality Contortion on her second one. She gets successes for those and has an additional effect. So she's actually fishing for failure rolls at this. Okay, and then Hex Field. Enemy characters performing a shake action while within 3 of this character may not remove Hex, Judgment, or Poison special conditions. So you're going to have to kind of get her up midfield and just be aware if you're playing against her, it's going to be difficult to shake stuff. And of course she has Flight. So on the back of her card, things don't really look too different. Everything's pretty much the same. Her defenses are the same. You're still looking at 6 health, so nothing significant there. Let's take a look at the cards that come with these 2 figures. Okay, next let's review the mission card that comes with this. It's a 16-point mission, Research Station Attacked. It's an extraction crisis. Place 1 researcher, which is a civilian, onto the central point on map E. So we're looking at map E. Okay, you're going to place 2 evacuation points, which are targets of opportunity, on the other 2 points. A player scores 2 victory points if they are securing the researcher during the cleanup phase. Then a player scores 2 victory points if the researcher is within range 1 of their evacuation point during the cleanup phase. So the first one happens, then the second happens. During the power phase, the researcher may move. If a player is securing the researcher, they may place it within 2 of its current position. Last thing to note is the evacuation point farthest from a player's battlefield edge is their evacuation point. So you're taking it to your opponent's side, your opponent's taking it to your side. So be aware of that. Let's start with probably the fluffier, maybe less likely to be used card, Difficult to Please. This is a Team Tactics card. It is Brotherhood of Mutants, so you do have to be running the Brotherhood. Okay, if an allied Scarlet Witch has dazed or KO'd an enemy character this round, and an allied Quicksilver has interacted or picked up an objective token this round, Magneto may play this card for free. You may remove an activated token from Magneto. So it's crazy powerful. You're going to get to go with Magneto again, but it's very situational. You've got to be running Brotherhood of Mutants. You've got to have the 3 of them in your army. Each of them has to fulfill his criteria. So really cool kind of narrative style card. Also a nod towards, the parenthood of Magneto being their father. But as far as actually getting it used and using reliably, your opponent could do a lot to stop that from happening. I don't see this seeing a lot of play. Next up, we have the Whims of Chaos. This is an unaffiliated card. Scarlet Witch may spend any number of power to play this card. You're going to choose one non-dazed character within range 3 of Scarlet Witch for each power. Those can be friendly or enemy characters. Each chosen allied character is going to remove a damage or one special condition. Each chosen enemy character gains one of the following conditions. You can give them Hex, Root, or Incinerate. So it's a nice kind of debuff buff, which allows her to kind of go mid-battlefield and do a little bit of a threat with people around her. And remember, when we look at her card, she has the ability also to keep people from being able to shake conditions, so it pairs pretty nicely with that. Next card that I could see being used fairly often is Can I Borrow That? If you're running Quicksilver, I could see this card coming into play. After an attack made by an allied Quicksilver that damages an enemy character holding an asset token is resolved, Quicksilver may spend 2 to play this card. So you do have to damage them, but you spend 2, you move 1 asset token from the target character to Quicksilver. He picks it up and is now holding that token. This card does not allow a character to hold more tokens than the crisis specific allows. So he's able to just grab an objective off of somebody, take it, and then run off, do his thing, whatever. So pretty good, pretty powerful, really fits with kind of his style of rules. The hard part is you got to damage him, and he's not a big damager, but, dice are dice. And last but certainly not least, we have No More Mutants. This is similar to, for what I understand in the comics, the House of M storyline. When she has enough one day, whispers no more mutants, and they just cease to exist. There's a reactive power unaffiliated. When an enemy character within 5 of an allied Scarlet Witch spends 1 or more power to use an active or reactive superpower, she can spend 3 and play this card. Enemy superpower has no effect, cannot be used again for the rest of the turn. The enemy still spends the power cost to play that superpower and is considered to have used that superpower. So this is similar to Ebony Maw's effect, or Squidward, as some people like to call him, from the Black Order. So it's a pretty powerful ability. It does cost 3 and does have a limited aura to it, but it's range 5. I expect if you're seeing her, you're going to see this card as the ability to really catch less experienced players off guard and just stop powers that could change the course of the game. Very powerful. And there you have it. So that's the review of these 2 models, kind of what to expect from the physical models to the rule side of things and the cards included. Let me know what you think of that. I'm also interested to see what factions people run these guys in. I think especially coming off WandaVision, we're going to see a lot of Scarlet Witch on the table. Quicksilver's got some uses. He's super fast, and I think if people find the right gimmicks and lists, he's going to be bouncing all over table doing things. And when his offensive ability rolls and you roll hot, he could just explode and just beat a team down. You won't see it often, but it'll make for some great stories, which is kind of what I play this game for. As far as Scarlet Witch goes, she's a blaster. She's going to be all over the table. Her ability to mitigate your opponent's really high luck rolls and get rid of their ability to critical and to negate your critical failures or the failure rolls is going to be really appealing, especially to competitive players that like to have those leveled out dice. So I could see her being very popular in the competitive scene. I'm looking forward to trying them both with the Hulk, because that's what I do with everything in this game. Please let me know, comment below, and let me know what list you're looking forward to trying the Scarlet Witch in. Also, I plan to go back and do a backlog of all of the releases for Crisis Protocol and kind of start doing these going forward. Let me know which releases you'd like to see covered first. Thanks for tuning in today, and may criticals be upon you.